Hello,
Hey guys,
everyone. How's
what's
it
going?
going?
It's
It's
Nixxiom
me,
here, and welcome
WoWcrendor,
back to another exciting video.
with
I am here with
Nixxiom. I'm
WoWcrendor,
joined with Nixxiom
and
today.
WoWcrendor, do you want to say hello to my viewers?
Nixxiom, do you want to say hello to my viewers?
Hey.
That's such a dumb thing.
That was the best idea you've ever had.
Easily.
I think so.
Very great.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, buddy. It's going pretty good, dude. Lots of exciting news has been going on, and just lots of exciting things.
Yeah.
Getting the home repaired, and all the pipes were broken in my house, and the toilets were broken, and I had to take care of my granny for a little while, but that's okay. We're all right.
Shit,
but
dude.
yeah, dude. It's getting excited, man. Getting pumped. Let's go to EGX later this year. Going BlizzCon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm just getting through my gallbladder struggles. Trying to get used to that. Yeah.
Here we go again, audience.
It just takes time, you know. I overdid it a little bit. All right. I felt like I was top of the world. I was not, and so I'm just kind of adjusting. Still getting used to all that. And
do you want to tell us the story?
I don't know. I think I'd rather just. I've talked about my gallbladder so much, or my gallbladderless body so much, that I'm probably just ready to talk about some classic WoW instead.
But real fast, before we talk about classic and all that chicken shit bullshit, do you ever like this is kind of a serious question, but it's gonna be worded in a funny way, but it's serious. Do you ever feel like a part of you is missing? Because that kind of would genuinely kind of scare me when I thought about getting my gallbladder out. I was like, dude, it's like a piece of me will be missing.
Not really, but I mainly notice it when my stomach hurts because there's too much fat that's not being digested properly.
Oh, yes, I see.
And then I'm like, ah, yes, that part of me's missing that would help with that. And then my organs are like, ah, shit, I gotta digest this now? This isn't even like, whatever. And then all my organs are just like, ah, and then the doctor's just like, yeah, that's just, you know, your body's got to get used to it. It could take like a year. And I'm like, a year?
Yeah.
All right, great. So on the bright side, beer doesn't bother me.
That's good. That's good. I was drinking on stream today. I was so fucking pissed off because of all the goddamn Russian pre-mades that I was fighting against. Those of you that were there, hell yeah to you. But God, I was
taking
angry.
Their break from Dota 2.
They were taking their break from. It's funny because it's true. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, you wanted to talk about classic.
I did, because I've made some videos on classic WoW. Your classic, like, classic WoW news, finally. You know, you're like, my clickbaity, and like, more classic WoW news. What is it? And then,
it's not clickbait if you deliver.
It's true.
If you make a video called Big Titty Bitches, and I click on that video, and there's a bunch of big titty bitches, that was not clickbait. You gave me exactly what I wanted.
That's a valid point. I think
it's true.
It is true. So I guess that's true. It's just it's a good title, I guess. You know, it's just a title that brings in people. Yeah. But my main thing was, it's just me talking to myself and being like, what do you guys think? But now I actually have somebody I can talk to about it, and I like the back and forth of that. So I thought that would be a fun thing to do, especially because I know you're very into classic WoW and vanilla WoW.
Of course. I haven't even made a video about the recent news, so this is perfect. I was going to make a video about the recent news, and then Crendor was like, hey, you want to talk about classic? And I was like, yeah. And so now I'm killing two birds with one stone.
Best way to do it.
That's right.
Except it's kind of not. You're better off making a video and then this video on top of it, so you get the video.
That's what I'll do, because there's so many people that are not going to watch this video. Yeah. And then they're going to ask me on Twitch and on the YouTube comments, talking about, what do you think about the classic news that just came out? And I'm like, well, Billy, if you would have watched the me and WoWcrendor video, you would know.
Dude, the amount of people that'll even just wreck it. You should make a pointless top 10 about lights, lampposts. And I'm like, I've done that like 4 years ago. And they're like, huh, you should make one about pointless top 10 of pointless top 10s. And like, I've done that twice. And they're like, huh. It's like, do you even just YouTube it? Just Google it.
Dude, just like 2 days ago, I released my video, How to Night Elf, right? And somebody came on my Twitch and they were like, dude, Nixxiom, you have a great idea. You have got to make a how-to class series after you're done with the races. And I was like, buddy, you are kind of late on literally done every class already. So, yep, even did the Demon Hunter twice.
This can't
people.
People, man, what's wrong with? Okay,
learn how to giggle.
Yeah, learn how to giggle.
And you gotta giggle it.
So, first up, we got our big classic news that hit, and it was just a post being like, "Hey, we're working on the game. All right, we're starting with patch 1.12."
Yep.
In fact, let me bring that up. Dev water.
I'll do the same thing.
Classic. All right, yeah. Let's bring that up real quick. And beep, 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 beep. Dev water cooler, World of Warcraft Classic. Greetings, friends such as us.
Greetings, friend of the Grommels.
Boop, 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 boop. Development of World of Warcraft Classics underway. Very excited to share some changes. Pretty much, they're just like, hey, we're trying to make a prototype. We're using patch 1.12. Which they're trying to create characters, do basic quests and leveling, dying a lot for testing purposes, and essentially what they're just saying is, hey, we're taking classic WoW and we're trying to build it into a modern client.
Yeah.
Now I don't know. Here's the thing. I've seen people be like, well, that's just the build they're using to recreate it for testing purposes. They could do that and then dial it back to like patch 1.4 or something. But I guess at the same time, they would rather have it be easier and be like, well, patch 1.12's got like all the shit in it already, so we might as well just use that patch. And I don't know if they could gate content by just having it on that patch, or like, I don't know. So what are your thoughts with that?
Well, first of all, patch 1.12 is the Drums of War patch. That's what introduces cross-realm battlegrounds and stuff. You get some world PvP, whatnot, with the Eastern Plaguelands and Silithus and the towers and all that good stuff. What else do we got in here? Let's see. I'm just seeing like what specifically is of interest to you guys that might be coming out 1.2. Lots of profession stuff, blah, blah, blah. You get your Encourage.
It's pretty much the last patch before BC hit.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. I'm just looking to see if there's anything of interest that you guys might not know about patch 1.2, other than, oh yeah, it introduced cross-realm battlegrounds. Let's say, I mean, it's not unexpected. I think Blizzard is going to go down the exact same route that every single private server has gone down, where they're going to, what the fuck?
What just happened to you?
Get up. Follow me.
Okay.
Look under the water. These people are under the water.
The shit?
Blizzard.
What is?
Look what I found, everyone.
Do people
I
know
used
this
my brain and I saw things.
People know this
They're
exists.
so angry because they've been stuck underwater all this time since Cataclysm.
I'd be angry too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway. Okay. So anyway, I think Blizzard is going to go down the exact same route as every single vanilla WoW private server. They're going to release patch 1.2. I do not think Encourage and Naxxramas and all that whatnot is going to be available at the launch. It's going to be pretty much just Molten Core and Nixia's Lair. And what I'm hoping that they do is they follow a similar time scheme where I don't know exactly how many months it took after Vanilla's release that Encourage came out, but let's say it was 9 months. I hope that Classic WoW servers come out, and 9 months later, Encourage comes out, and then X number of months later, the same amount as back in the day, Nax comes out. And then after a little while, we get the BC Classic Realms come out, because I support progressive legacy. I don't know about you, but
I do too. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's better to. I think it's even better from their perspective to do it that way, because then you keep people coming back every so often instead of just giving you everything at once and then burning yourself out with it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's not really unexpected. I think they're gonna follow the private server route. Everyone's been doing it, and it'll be all right. I think the things that have stood out to me the most in that article was they not too much. There was two things I remember in that article. I don't have it open, but there was the fact they said there will be battle.net integration into Classic WoW. Some people who are big Classic WoW purists are 100% against that. Like, nope. Some people are worried about cross-faction communication because of that. Like, oh, hey, you can just add that orc right there if you're a human and talk to him on BNet. Yeah. I don't think you're going to be able to do that, but we'll see. But there was something else in the article, and if you have it open, it's sort of near the end, and it said something like, oh, we're trying to make changes or something.
Additional improvements will include modern anti-cheat, botting to the detection, customer service, and BattleNet integration, and similar conveniences that do not affect the core gameplay experience.
Yeah, that was the one thing that stood out to me. The whole like, oh, similar conveniences. I just like, you know, what falls into the category of a convenience. I know this is not what they mean, but I'm just saying, Blizzard. I'm just saying, if you're listening. We don't want that area looting, okay? We don't want that LFG tool. I don't want to hear it. All right, don't touch it. So, yeah, personally, when it comes to the BNet integration, I would like it if... Now, I know some people are going to be like, what? But I would like it if, for example, I can add you as a friend on BNet on retail WoW, so like regular WoW, like we're on right now. But if I get in the Classic realms, I can't add you on BNet or anything. If I encounter a dude in the Classic realms, I can't add him on BNet. I'd have to do it on the retail realms. We'd have to talk. He can only be on a friends list, and I have my BNet friends, but I know they're not going to do that. Yeah. But Mike, I do think about the whole cross. I just hope that I can't click on an orc as a human, for example, and say add to BNet friends, and then call him an idiot after he kills me and camps me or something.
Yeah,
but
I agree with that.
It should be all right.
I agree with that. I think, I mean, I pretty much knew it was going to be a BattleNet integrated thing. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't at this point. Like, I'm like, well, we've recreated it and put it onto CD-ROMs, and we'll be sending them to your house when you buy it.
Man, that'd be awesome.
It would be pretty cool. But
dude, I love the old CD-ROMs. Guys, remember back when we got games on CD-ROMs and you sat there and you waited for it to install and you listened to the cool-ass bombing music and you saw artwork and you're like, yeah, dude. And you're reading the game manual while you're waiting for it? Listen, I ain't even trolling. That shit was awesome. I loved that.
I just loved going to the store and like seeing the CD-ROM boxes and games like on the shelf. Like even if you go to like Office Max or some shit, like you see old games like Age of Mythology and like Rise of Nations. I'd be like, dude, I could like pick up Rise of Nations for like $4 or something. But like now you just go on Steam and it's like I still miss going to the places and seeing those games and be like, dude, I could pick that up. It's like I don't know.
I just miss holding the hard copies of games.
Yeah. It's like it's like books where you can read a book versus like have a book reading tablet.
Yeah.
I think of it the same way as that.
Yeah. Absolute heresy having a tablet. Right, Crendor?
Right.
Okay, good. Making sure you're on my side there.
Yeah, I am on your side. I love having the actual book.
Oh, me too. You reading anything right now?
Not right now, but I need to read more. I always say that, but like I need to actually read more. I've been reading The Hobbit, actually.
Really? Man, fuck classic. Let's talk about The Hobbit.
And yeah, I agree. It's like one of those things where I think they're gonna add like the BattleNet, whatever. But I talked about this in my other video, which was how far are they gonna take it, right? Like, are they gonna add achievements in? Part of me still thinks they're gonna add achievements in.
No, fuck no.
I still think they're gonna do it, and here's why. All right.
No.
All right. Where do you draw the line?
No changes. That's dude. Let me lay out the argument. It's so simple. This is what I tell people on Twitch. Person that is listening, do you want to play Classic WoW? Yeah, Nixxiom, I do want to play Classic WoW. Congratulations, you support no changes. Nothing. No achievements, no updated graphics, no LFG tool, None of that chicken shit bullshit, because all those are changes. Because here's the thing, Crendor. Let's say, for example, okay, audience, listen. Let's say that Blizzard implemented something relatively simple, a area looting tool, like kind of like we have today. If you kill 5 mobs and you loot 1, you pick up all the shit from the 5 mobs. Okay, they put that in Classic WoW. That little change. What's the big deal, Nixxiom? Well, here's the thing. Can you then say that you played vanilla WoW and had the classic vanilla WoW experience? No, you did not play vanilla WoW. You did not have the classic WoW experience. You played a modded version of classic WoW. So did you play classic? No, you didn't.
Well,
that's how I look at it.
I can see that, but at the same time, you're never gonna really play vanilla or classic WoW unless you actually played vanilla or classic WoW. Because the internet in general was different at that time. Like, you couldn't just data mine shit. You couldn't, you had to go to Thoughtbot. If Thoughtbot was even working correctly, the internet was different. People didn't have phones. Like, you had to install with your CD-ROM copies. So I mean, you're never gonna fully recreate the vanilla classic WoW experience. But I guess from a gameplay perspective,
yeah, it's not really about recreating the experience 100%, because you can't do that, because you can't go back to being 12 years old and playing World of Warcraft for the first time again and being like, whoa, I've never played an MMO before, like in the case with me. But what you can recreate is the game as it was. And the game as it was meant to be played the day that it came out. And sure, there's like data mining and all that stuff today, and there are a million YouTube guides on how to kill Ragnaros, how to kill Onyxia, and blah, blah, blah. That stuff did exist back in the day. You just kind of had to dig for it a little bit. And there was no websites like WoWhead and MMO Champion and so on and so forth. It was Thoughtbot, like Crendor said. My thing is, I know the experience can't 100% be recreated. Like the experience of being a 12-year-old and playing Classic again for the first time, but the game can be recreated as it was. Yeah. And that's what I care about. Yeah.
I can appreciate that. I mean, I guess it's kind of like what I said. So you're just straight up, absolutely no change. So I'm sure there's going to be people where they're like, well, if it's just group looting, whatever. But like, I would agree with you. I don't want group looting. I don't want any of that. I want straight up how it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, do you want to play Classic? Yeah, okay, great. Then let's play Classic.
Yeah.
Let's not play a modded version of Classic. Let's not play Classic with quality of life changes. Let's not do that. Let's play Classic, because anything else is not Classic.
Dude, my brain is so ingrained in like old WoW that I still forget that group loot's a thing. Like, I'll be looting a mob and I'm like, why am I looting this? And I'm like, oh wait, yeah, it's a group loot.
Oh, dude, my brain is so ingrained in old WoW that I still press O in order to open up like the PvP tab and stuff. Like, I think it was O anyway. Maybe I'm just having a brain fart, but I know that if it wasn't O, my hotkey was O to open up the PvP stuff back in the day. Remember that. Open up the honor tab and all that good stuff. I either changed the hotkey or that's what it was default, but that's how it was for years for me. Years and years. I don't
remember either now you mentioned it.
And now it's I.
The comments will figure it out.
Yeah, you're wrong. Okay, well, I changed the hotkey back when I was younger, because I did change my hotkeys when I was young. But yeah.
Well, then,
good point.
The other update that they said was that they hired, or there's a job opening for a software engineer, C++ Classic WoW. And this is what it says. Do you long to travel back to Azeroth before Mist and Pandaria parted, before Deathwing broke the world in the fog, blah, 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 blah? Yeah. Do you have fond memories of the original character animations and spell effects?
Yeah.
Can you help us restore that look to our modern engine?
Well, no, but I can try.
Well, then this is the opportunity for you. So what people have pretty much taken from this is that the game's going to have old models and old animations. So this was like new, but it was one of those things where I was like, obviously it is. Like, I wouldn't expect it to have modern animations and modern models in it. You know what I mean? Kind of like what we just talked about.
Yeah, because I don't know if I've never experimented with this, but I know that in WoW Model Viewer, if you try to load an old model, like let's say a human model, and you do, let's say, a talk animation or whatever, it's almost like the new model's skeleton is inside of the old model. And so the animations are all messed up and kind of off compared to how they used to be. I don't know if that's the same as in-game, but I know Model Viewer reads off of all the in-game data. So maybe that's what the case is. I have to make a human character and test it because I know what I've made so many WoW machinimas. I know what every single WoW animation looks like for every character. Like it's just burned into my brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did see that. I don't necessarily that was the first thought that I had about broken animations and Model Viewer that I've seen because of the new skeletons. I don't necessarily think this rules out the possibility of new character models in Classic WoW. Obviously, I would prefer if they didn't do that because the primary reason, well, there's two reasons. Obviously, number one, no changes. Don't need to talk about that anymore. But the second thing is because I was talking to Tips Out, and he made a good point and said, I want to play Classic WoW as soon as possible. And bringing like old character model or the new character models with the HD textures and the HD skeletons and all that crap, and putting that into the old world and into the old Classic WoW engine is probably going to take time. It's going to be extra time. And is it really necessary? Does it make the game better in any way? Not really. Whatever. Who cares? Once you put a bunch of armor on your character, you don't even realize that they have an updated character model. You're just looking at them from like 20 feet behind them, and so you can't really tell unless you really zoom in close.
Yeah.
So I agreed with that, and I was like, yeah, I just think it'd be a waste of time, and of course, no changes. So
I
don't know. Would you support new character models in Classic?
I don't think I would, because I'm kind of 50-50 on the new character models in general.
All right.
I think they're okay. I didn't think. I get why they did it, but I wouldn't have really cared if they did it at all. To me, I still like the old models. I still like my old Billy Orc. Yeah. I still like the old gnomes and stuff like that. These look overly cartoony to me compared to the old ones.
I agree.
Yeah, and it's just, they're all like the expressions in their face and stuff. And I kind of like that old choppy, blah, blah, blah. It feels more video game to me even.
It's kind of like, it's interesting. Sometimes I had this conversation with a friend recently. You look at games like, let's say the new Call of Duty, and you're playing it, and I don't know, everybody's different. So you in the comment section, feel free to leave your thoughts on this. When I play a game with really it's trying to look as realistic as possible, whatever kind of graphics. Anytime I see something that is wrong, let's say there's a broken hair texture, or just, I don't know, I zoom in really close on a tree branch and I see the pixels and whatnot, it just really breaks the immersion. I don't know, I can't, I don't know about you, but I really struggle to get immersed into games that are trying to be hyper realistic or more realistic in their image. But when it comes to more simple looking games like Classic WoW and other things, I tend to have no problem getting really into these games. For example, oh man, I remember when I was trying to play Mass Effect 3. I really liked Mass Effect 2, but I really couldn't get into Mass Effect 3. I never finished it. But if you were to sit me down and say, hey, it's because I couldn't really get into it, but if you were to sit me down and say, hey, Nixxiom, play Knights of the Old Republic, I'll be in that game in a heartbeat. And I think what it is, before you guys dismiss me as crazy, I think what it is and what I'm kind of experiencing is the same thing we experience with movies and frame rates. Movies play at 24 FPS for a reason. And it's because your brain, when you're watching a movie in 24 frames per second, we're seeing things in 60 FPS. And so our brains are manually filling in the blanks in between each frame, and it immerses us more into the picture. And I think that when you play a game that has a style, but it's not pursuing hyper realism, at least for me anyway, I don't know about you guys, it's easier for me to really get immersed into the world.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of strange, for example, like if I look at my character right now, this takes me out of the immersion. It really does. I look at my character and I'm looking at this crazy HD armor that I'm wearing. It looks fucking amazing. And then I look at the ground and I look at the rocks around us and there's trees to our right and the building. And it just doesn't, it just doesn't look, there's not like a homogeneous style. And it just sort of, it's just something I subconsciously can recognize without even realizing it, and it takes me out of the game. But that's just me. That's just me rambling for a second. Maybe you guys agree, maybe you disagree. I don't know.
I think one of my things is when a game tries to be too realistic, I compare it to the real world in that sense. So I'm like, oh, how does this compare to reality? While if it's a game like this and it's more cartoony, I'm like, oh, well, this is just the style they went with, so I'm less judgmental on it. And I think it holds up better as the years go on when it's like that, too. Like, even a game like Guild Wars, I really enjoyed the style of it, and it wasn't the most realistic style, but it has its own style, so I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I think I just prefer those types of games. It's more of like a preference thing.
Yeah, it also could be because, speaking for me, possibly speaking for you and other people, it might be because we grew up playing games that were not all HD and fancy and blah, blah, blah. And so it's kind of like, I could probably get like more immersed in a game like frickin' Minecraft than the new Call of Duty. Yeah. Because I'll be like, oh, dude, I remember playing PS1 back in the day, like Twisted Metal. Like, holy shit, I love that game. Twisted Metal 2 and all those games, blowing up cars. That was great. I remember, classic WoW, those choppy textures and whatnot. That stuff was great, man. I loved it. I think it was great because it allows your imagination to fill in the blanks. Yeah, I guess. And I think that's the key to getting into something, whether it's a book or a game or whatever. You kind of need to use your imagination a little bit, even if it's subconsciously. Hopefully that all makes sense.
I think it makes sense. I mean, even some of the older games where like I grew up playing them, like some of the old RTS games where they're very blocky, almost like WoW classic style. Like I still love those games. I can go back and play them. But if I go back and play a game that's like, I don't know, 25, 30 years old, it feels a little too old to me. So part of me is like, is that just me having nostalgia and being like, oh, well, this is what I grew up with, so I like it? Or is part of it like, well, this is a nice like in between of like good graphics and old graphics? Like, I don't know. So I just debate with myself like, oh no, maybe it is just me.
I think it's all about the style, really. I think I personally prefer a game that is pursuing a sort of style as opposed to a game that's pursuing hyper-realism and hitting the uncanny valley. I think, for example, a game like, let me think of an example, like Team Fortress 2 is a good example. Classic WoW, even a game like a modern game like Fortnite. I think these games that have like an art style that the company is clearly going for, I think those games look better, in my opinion, than some of like the fancy like HD, like hyper-realistic AAA games that have been coming out recently.
So even a lot of those feel the same at this point.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, here's another Assassin's Creed game. It's like, well, it looks the same as it did, like 8 years ago.
Yeah, I do like how they do like the whole panels. Like, oh yes, we created like subsurface lighting in the character models, so you can kind of see the blood beneath their skin now. And it's like, does that really matter?
Yeah.
Like, you spent like millions of dollars like doing that. Does that really matter? Like, for a game that people are gonna play for probably 10 hours and then put down and get bored with it.
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord, man. Like, World of Warcraft with its choppy blocks and textures, I put thousands of hours into this game. And I didn't need no subsurface lighting or 10 trillion polygons on one character model. Or I didn't need none of that. I just needed my imagination, a good storyline, and a good incentive to keep playing.
Yeah. And I think that's essentially what WoW is built on. It's built on like Warcraft 3. which Warcraft 3 had the style WoW is based off of. Like, it's based on that kind of goofy, cartoony RTS game. And so
I think Warcraft 3 looks great. Personally, I think it's a fantastic looking game.
Well, I mean, it's like a bad thing. I just think it's it had its own style, and to me, that style was kind of goofy and cartoony.
Oh yeah, of course. And WoW's goofy and cartoony.
Yeah, and I think it fits really well for like everything they did. And you can still do serious things. Like you can do like the Arthas storyline and like like all these characters with pretty good storylines in World of Warcraft, and it can still be serious even while looking cartoony. So I think it doesn't. I think a lot of people when they make realistic things like this is very serious. This is very serious graphic style, realistic. Graphics. And when you see WoW, you think like, oh, that's just cartoon goof fest 2018. But really, like, you can have. I think that's why I've always liked making WoW machinimas with it too, because people are like, oh, you're gonna make a machinima in another thing, and I'm like, well, I don't really want to, because I just like the style of WoW for making videos with.
Well, dude, I remember, like, I think something that all of us as WoW players can relate to this. You ever had a dude or someone that you're talking to and you're like, yeah, I play WoW. And they say, oh, dude, those graphics suck.
Yeah.
I think everybody can relate to that. I mean, I don't think WoW's graphics suck at all.
Yeah,
whether it was back in Classic or even today. I mean, I think Argus, the new planet, I think it looks great. If I look over, like, just across towards the Barrens and I see, like, the ruins of that, like, Alliance keep in the distance with the Horde ships in front of it, and, it feels like a place. It feels like a world. You see the fog in the distance, the birds flying around. I think WoW looks great.
Yeah.
Personally. And, and I mean, I just, going back to what we talked about before with Tips Out, I just don't see the point in putting the new character models in, because I don't think it does anything other than just like, oh, hey, we put the new character models in. It's like, okay, why'd you waste a month doing that? Like,
yeah.
So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I don't know. Like, in conclusion, for me, guys, I am just a graphics don't make a game kind of gamer. I don't care if the game looks like Minecraft or if the game looks like the new Assassin's Creed. I don't care. I just care about how good is the gameplay and how well is this game gonna hook me. So when I see these fancy ass game trailers of like, it's funny, yeah. Like I remember I was watching E3 and they were showing like the trailers for all the new fancy like hyper realistic games, and I was sitting there watching them with my girlfriend, and it was like, yeah, whatever. And then like we got to like the Ori and the Blind Forest, and I was like, oh, Ori and the Blind Forest, like,
yeah,
like fuck all that other bullshit like Call of Duty and whatnot. Who cares? Like, it's Ori and the Blind Forest, motherfucker.
Yeah. Well,
so like, I like styles.
Yeah, it's definitely its own style. It's like the other realism is essentially a style at this point, and it's so oversaturated in all these games that it's, I think, becoming a really boring style to go for.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I can agree with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, the other thing I wanted to ask was just, like I was mentioning before with achievements. So, if they did put achievements in, right?
Okay.
If it had achievements, would you still play it?
No.
So you would boycott it then, because you'd be like, this isn't actually classic WoW.
I mean, I wouldn't boycott it, but I would just tell people it's not classic WoW.
Oh, I see.
If I hit level 10 and it was like, bling, you hit level 10, it's like, yeah, I know. Like, here's the thing that people need to understand about classic versus about today. In classic World of Warcraft was more of like a proper RPG. It was a role-playing game. It didn't rely. You didn't rely, for example, on an achievement to tell the world that you did Scarlet Monastery, for example. I didn't need to see that you had an achievement for that. I could look at your character and I could know exactly where you've been. And some of you guys that are watching, if you played Classic or you've played Classic, well, either way, whatever camp, you'll start to notice this, or maybe you have noticed this. In Classic WoW, you can learn a lot about a player by the gear that they're wearing. Yeah. And, for example, oh, that guy's wearing Herod's shoulder. He's done Scarlet Monastery. And so when he says, hey, can I get an invite to Scarlet Monastery? I know he's done it before I know he's succeeded in it because I mean he's got gear from it. Just hopefully he succeeded in it. He's probably a good person to invite. He knows what to do.
Right.
You'll start to just. The thing is, your character is your achievement in Classic WoW. The gear you're wearing is your achievement. You don't need a page telling people you hit level 10. We can see you hit level 10. You don't need a page saying you achieved getting the Shaman Water Totem, which is a class quest for those of you that don't know. The fact that you have access now and you are casting Shaman like Water Totem-esque spells tells me, as maybe a fellow shaman, that you succeeded in doing the Shaman Water Totem quest line. You did that. So for me, I actually, fun fact, I remember when World of Warcraft announced that achievements were coming in Wrath, and I really was against that. Me and my friends all were. And we were all like, what is this, Xbox Live? I remember that's what we kept saying. Like, oh man, like they're trying to turn WoW into Xbox Live. Xbox Live. That's what we kept saying back then. And it wasn't, guys, like, before you, like, crucify me, it's not like, oh, like, fuck Xbox, or, like, we're just complaining for the sake of complaining. It's just missing that point that you don't need an achievement page to tell people, like, oh, look at all the cool shit I did. It's just your character itself could tell people that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, obviously, achievements have added some really cool things to the game, you know, mounts and rewards and cosmetic stuff and pets and all that stuff and whatever. But in Classic WoW, it's not something that's needed. I would be 100% against achievements in Classic WoW. I think the only achievement that I would be like, if there is going to be achievements in Classic WoW, don't put it in Classic. Just put it like just, oh, you, like, for example, like, okay, I hit level 60 on my warrior. There's no bang effect. There's no sound effect. There's none of it. But if I log into Battle for Azeroth, I'll have a new achievement. It'll be like, bling, and it'll be like, you hit level 60 on the Classic realms.
All right. Yeah, I can see that.
Like, fine. You know, no blingy effects, no achievement page on the Classic realms. But if you want to put all that, put it on the BFA or whatever expansion realms. You get them over there when you log back in. Hey, you hit level 60. You cleared all the raid content in Classic WoW. Congratulations. That's what I would be like, okay, towards.
I guess that's what I was kind of talking to myself about when I was thinking of it. So it's like, I guess achievements wouldn't hurt the game that bad. But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, if you had an achievement in vanilla WoW to, like, go PvP at Crossroads, then you're already impacting the gameplay because you're encouraging people to go PvP in Crossroads instead of just them naturally going there. And, So I was like, that technically would be impacting the gameplay. So I don't know if they would do that for that reason. But the thing that made me think of achievements was because they'd be like, oh, you can play our other games, like play Classic WoW for an hour and you get a free pet in Modern WoW. You know what I mean? So that's the only reason I think achievements would be implemented. But if you did it that style where it didn't actually impact you while you're playing vanilla or Classic WoW and it only impacted you when you logged into a different version of the game, I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, you just have to be careful. Like, they can't have an achievement like you said, oh, you know, go attack, kill the main guy at Crossroads as an Alliance character. Because again, even if that achievement only pops up when you log into the BFA realms, like you said, that impacted the gameplay of the Classic experience. Guys, people, like, back in the Classic days didn't raid Crossroads because there was an achievement to do it, or really even a reason to do it. People did it because it was fun.
Yeah.
Like, people just slaughtered each other because, I mean, for those that don't know, I mean, like, it's interesting today, speaking as a veteran player, it's interesting how, like, it's almost like faction pride in World of Warcraft is sort of like, I wouldn't say looked down upon, but it's not as prevalent as it used to be.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, you see, back in the day, the ye old yonder days, if you chose to play on a PvP realm and you made a Horde character, you are now on the Horde. You cannot play as the Alliance on that server. You can only make Horde characters. And there was no cross-realm tech. There was no cross-realm battlegrounds for the longest time, and so on and so forth. So that community. That horde community was your community. Like when you were leveling up, and let's say you saw Bob the Tauren, as you level up, you would probably see Bob the Tauren repeatedly. He'll probably end up in a number of your dungeon groups. You might even raid with him, or he might build a reputation as like, oh, a ninja looter, or oh, he's the server's best enchanter, or like PvP. Whatever. Yeah, you know, he could become the High Warlord one day and be like, dude, that was Bob, man. I remember him. I did dungeons with him. Like this was your community. And so when people were like, dude, for the horde, like, it's like, dude, yeah, that's my team. Those are my people. Like, for the horde, man. Like, that's how I felt back in the day.
Yeah.
And where was I going with this? What were we talking about?
I don't remember.
Oh, so this is me. But the point is that yes. God damn, where was I going with that? I forgot what we were talking about. We were talking about differences between classic in the past and today. We were talking about the whole
achievements impacting you doing things.
And then I started talking about like how people did shit for fun. People did shit for fun, dude. When I played on the horde and I was on the horde and I wasn't allowed to make an alliance character, man, fuck those alliance people. Killing my friends and ganking them in Stranglethorn Vale, and you know, taking our world bosses and coming to our city with their filthy footsteps and defiling it. Man, kill them. Camp their dead bodies. Camp them all night. Like, it was Loktar, Ogar, for the horde all day, every day. Dude, I would get people together back in the day and be like, guys, like me and my guild, like, guys, we got to go destroy Stormwind. Why, Nixxiom? Because the Alliance deserve it. That's why. And so we would go and blow up Stormwind just because we felt like it, because the Alliance deserved it. You know, and vice versa. It was great. Like, so yeah, maybe you can relate to that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I have plenty of memories where, like, going back a little bit to even the gear thing. I remember being in Orgrimmar and seeing a Tauren with the tier 1 shaman gear, like molten core. I forgot what it's called, but it looked like the lava earthquake volcano set. And I remember seeing that, and I was like, dude, that is so cool. And like that made me want to go to Molten Core. And I was like, I gotta raid. Like, I gotta get to Molten Core so I can get that gear. Yeah. Like, that was just the only thing I cared about. I was like, I gotta get into Molten Core. So like that alone, just seeing that guy with that gear on was like, oh, I want some of that. And then I remember going to Crossroads and PvPing just because, like, there's nothing else to do. Let's go PvP. Like, fight some alliance.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I think that was the fun part of old WoWs. You essentially made your own fun. And I think I've been wanting them to implement that back into the modern game. Like something like guild housing or player housing. Not garrisons, but like, you know, something where you would be able to customize it a lot and invite your friends and play with your friends. Just things that made you do things with other people. I think is always a good thing. And I think old WoW did that really well because you essentially had to do it. And I've always believed in that, which is kind of the old RPG style anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's what made it interesting, because classic WoW in a lot of ways was a sandbox. You kind of just did whatever you wanted. You had fun in your own way. And I personally really enjoyed that. I mean, I played Star Wars Galaxies back in the day. I mean, that was a crazy sandbox. I just really enjoyed the sandbox aspect of classic WoW. And one thing, and we might have talked about this before. I might have asked you this question, but it's a common thing that people say. People say, well, classic WoW won't be the same as it was in the past. Not because of guides and all that stuff, but because people have changed. Gamers have changed. And I don't know if we've talked about this before, if I asked you, or if I've shared my thoughts, but I completely disagree with that. I don't think people have changed at all.
Yeah, I don't think people have changed either. I think it's just the games have changed, and so people change with the games. But if you give them that game, like, again, then it kind of forces people into how it was back. Like, you have to be social, right? And I think when you do that and people are forced to be like, hey, looking for group or whatever, like it returns them to that moment.
Yeah,
that's
that
how
state.
it was. Yeah. It's like people haven't changed. It's like how people say, oh, having phones have changed people. They're less social. And it's like, that's not true. Like, people have social media. Like, there's a picture I remember somebody put on somewhere, and it was like a bunch of people on a train reading newspapers. And you could be like, oh, newspapers have made people less social because they're not talking to each other on the train. Like, it's the exact same thing, but it almost feels like everybody always looks for something to blame.
Yeah, exactly.
And really, it's just people being like, I'm bored, I'm going to do a thing. And back then it was newspapers. Now it's your phone. Like, if you're not bored, like if somebody's interesting, you're not going to look at your phone if somebody's really interesting.
This is true. There's a few things I could say about social media and how it's changed society, but I wouldn't say it's made people less social.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's definitely changed society because that's an entirely different topic, but I agree with that. I agree with that. I think you're right.
We'll do a tech podcast one day and talk about society and how things have changed.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think people still love. First of all, we're social animals. We always have been. We enjoy being a part of communities. We enjoy meeting people and making new friends. We enjoy building relationships with others, being a part of a group, a tribe, a unit, whatever you want to call it. We enjoy that. It comes naturally. We enjoy feeling like we've achieved something. We enjoy conquering challenges. We enjoy, especially working with other people to conquer challenges. Many of us do. Some people like to do things on their own, but, to each their own. But games, MMOs that capitalize on this tend to always do very well. And Classic WoW did this perfectly. It encouraged, it created a game that was easy to pick up. It was easy to learn, difficult to master. It presented a good challenge, a community building atmosphere. And I was talking about it on Twitch earlier, but in MMOs, life and death is determined on the anvil of its community. If the community falls apart or starts to suffer, the MMO will die. If the community continues to be built and it grows and it prospers and it has reason to grow and it stays close knit, the MMO will continue to live and thrive. And I think that's what Classic WoW did, and that's what made Classic WoW the most successful MMO and one of the most successful games in history. And I think Classic WoW is going to be a tremendous success when it comes out. I honestly think that when Blizzard releases the Classic Realms, what is going to happen is this is what's going to happen, Crendor. Here's what's going to happen.
All right.
I'll bet $1 right now.
Okay.
Here's what's going to happen. Classic servers are going to come out. Obviously, a lot of people are going to want to play on it. So if you can imagine the spike, it's going to go boom, and it's going to spike up. Lots of people. Let's just say, 4 million people start playing on it.
Subscription numbers.
Yeah, okay. So there's a lot of people playing on the Classic Realms. Cool, great. Everything's great. But, a lot of people are going to be like, I don't like this. Like, oh my God, it takes a while to level. I don't want to communicate. Whatever the reason are. They're going to be like, I'm not going to play this. And they're going to go back to playing BFA or whatever expansion. So they're going to go back. So the number, if you can imagine the chart, it goes boom, it spikes, and then it's going to go right back down. And during this downing phase, this is when the trolls are going to come out. This is when people are going to be like, ha ha ha, see, Classic WoW is falling apart. Ha ha ha, I told you, Nixxiom, I told you, Crendor, this was a big waste of time. Ha ha ha. And this is when the trolls are going to come out and start laughing and gloating and everything. All right? But then what's going to happen is it's going to eventually peak out. It's going to be like a nice little cap. It's going to flatten out. And the population is going to just kind of reach an equilibrium. Let's say at 500,000 players, for example. But here's what's going to happen. Eventually, because it always happens, there's going to be some downtime in, let's say, Battle for Azeroth or the next expansion. There's going to be a 6 months or a 6-month wait for the new expansion to come out after BFA or between the patches, and people are going to get bored. And little Billy, he's going to say, I'm bored, but I want to play WoW. Maybe I'll try that classic server thing again. And he's going to play it. And he's going to log into that level 4 rogue, and he's going to hit level 10. and he's going to do that class quest. He's going to unlock his 2 daggers and his poisons and everything and be like, this is kind of cool. And then he's going to get to like level whatever. He's going to go and do RFC for the first time with a group that he found. He's going to talk to that Tauren druid and be like, hey, like Jonathan, the Tauren druid, he's a pretty cool guy. I'm going to add him to my friends list. And by that point, it's all over. Little Billy is hooked. And he never goes back to BFA again. So what's going to happen? It's going to spike, go down, stagnate for a little while, and then it's going to be a slow climb up. Slow climb of people getting hooked. And we're going to see a similar chart, I think, to when Classic first came out. It's just going to be a
pretty good prediction. I think it's I like that.
That's what I think. I'll bet $1.
All right. Honestly, I don't know if I want to bet against you because I think it's going to happen too.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
And I mean, what you said about even achievements before, how like Classic WoW took those things like achievements, like essentially you're achieving things all the time. Like, oh, I wrote this term paper. Oh, I made this video. And it would do that in WoW, where it's like, oh, I beat this raid boss, I did that. But then, as they learned in like the gaming industry and all that marketing, they're like, hey, these guys, you know, humans, they're addicted to achieving things. What if we just give them things to work towards to achieve? And that's when they added in achievements to be like, collect 10 eggs, and you're like, I guess I got to do it. And essentially just them taking advantage of those things instead of, again, letting it organically occur.
Yeah. I think I prefer a more organic approach, and I think you always need to have a really good incentive to pursue achievements. For example, there was no achievement thing telling you, like, oh, hey, you need to go to Molten Core and get these 10 achievement points or whatever. That's not why you went to Molten Core. You know, you went to Molten Core because you saw some bitch, and he had some cool as shit shoulder pads, and you're like, dude, I want to look like that.
Yeah.
Like, there was no points or anything involved. No UI element. You just saw a fellow player. You're like, dude, I want to look like that.
Yeah.
And that you recognized his achievement and you wanted that achievement for yourself. There is your vanilla WoW achievements, everybody, right there.
Beautiful.
That's the classic WoW version of achievements, and I like it. You just clap. Please clap.
Please clap.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think we've had a good talk.
Yeah, it's been, I don't even know how long it's been. All I know is it's 12 o'clock at night.
It's about 50 minutes.
That's all right. That's pretty good. I mean, there's only so much you can say about 2 little bullshit articles that don't say that much.
Yeah. Pretty much like, hey guys, we're working on it. It's like, yay. Woo.
Yay. Let's talk about it for 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I apologize if I rambled a lot in this.
No,
I felt like I did. I was struggling to find my thoughts. I don't really feel very well, and it's kind of late at night.
I think your rambling was like pretty well. It was like well-spoken rambling. If it was rambling.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Well.
All right.
This is where we promote ourselves. Hey, it's me, youtube.com/WoWcrendor, twitch.tv/Crendor, twitter.com/Crendor. How you doing?
Hey, it's the Nixxiom Mashanzmas. It's me. Go into YouTube and just search the Nixxiom, and you'll find me, and just Twitch as I'm on theirs too. Nixxiom. Yep, buy a t-shirt. Woo!
Please buy things.
What?
I don't know. We need to. I was typing in Nixxiom into Google.
The Noxians and the Mashanzmas.
Maradon location. All right, that's the first thing that came up.
Oh, nice.
All right. Well, good talk. Let's talk some other time.
All right.
And yeah.
Yep. Crendor, have a good evening. And guys, thanks for watching.
Okay. See ya.